and welcome back to Lips and Lore with Meg. For today's video, I'm going to be making a 5-star prediction for next year. And what I have done is I picked 5 books off of my TBR that I think could possibly be 5 stars. I have very high hopes for all of these. And then I have picked 4 books that I do not own that I think could be 5 stars. In fact, I highly think that they will be. Just based off of everything that I've heard about them. And then I've picked 3 books that are coming out next year that I do believe could be 5-star books for me. And my plan is to hopefully read all these within the next year and figure out if they are in fact 5-star reads. So without further ado, let's get into it. In fact, I think all of my 5-star for my TBR is also on my 25 to read in 2025. First due is The Sea of Brass by Chakraborty. I do believe this will be a 5-star read. Everything I've heard about it sounds incredible. And that's why I've got it at one point or another and has left it on my shelf forever. Because one thing that I do tend to do is if I think I'm going to love something, I put it off because I'm afraid I won't love it. So what I understand of this is it is like a Middle Eastern inspired fantasy. From what I understand, and I really love that culture within fantasy books. So it's definitely one that I need to read more of. But I've just heard that the magic system and everything in this is really cool. So yeah, I like to go in books pretty blind. So other than that, that's all that I know. I don't know if there is a romance element to this. I don't need romance elements to give books 5 stars. In fact, sometimes romance elements can bring down books for me. So the magic system and world building is really what is drawing me to this one and thinking that I will rate it pretty highly. Next is The Lies of Lamora by Lynch, and I do believe I will read this one fairly soon because a friend of mine, Jess from Game of Toms, we've been talking about how on our In Real Life book club we might just, nominate this twice so it's on the wheel twice. Because it's already been on the wheel once, I believe, and it wasn't picked. And we both really want to read it really badly. So I think this is going to end up getting picked very soon for our book club, which I'm excited about because I think it's going to be a really fun one to read as a group. From what I understand, it is a heist found family type of tale. I can't remember if it's supposed to have almost like pirate-ish type of themes. But maybe. Maybe it's just morally gray heist characters. I can't remember the specifics behind it, but I know so many people that love this book. And when I had it on my 25 for 2025, a bunch of people commented saying, hey, you really should read that one. It's fantastic. And I know I've had this for probably 6 years now. Like I said, put it off because it's scary to know that something you think you're gonna love might not be loved. But I'm ready to get to this one now. Next is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is a Native American fantasy retelling, not retelling, but it uses the culture and the gods, I believe, within this. Which I'm so looking forward to. Similar to here, I really love when Native American culture is used within fantasy. So the fact that this is all about that is so intriguing, and the cover and everything is just so good. So I do believe I may indeed give this one 5 stars, which once again is why I've been putting it off. I really need to look at that and see why I do that. It's the same reason that it took me this long to start Brandon Sanderson. So, next is Assassin's Apprentice by Hobb. Same thing said for these could be said for this. I have friends that love this book. I have friends that have told me for years, you got to start reading Hobb's work. I understand that. I think it's going to be fantastic. Once again, I think the characters, the world building, the possible magic, I can't remember exactly what type of magical fantasy this is. I think I'm gonna love it, but it's just putting it off and off and off. So I do have this really pretty illustrated edition. So when I do finally get to reading this, I will love having the illustrated pictures going along with it. So I, once again, need to get to it. And next is a little bit of a weird one, in the sense that these all very clearly have a theme of being fantasy. And one of the reasons there's not any science fiction 5 stars on this is I've actually have surprisingly read a ton of my science fiction. So, and the ones that I haven't read are like further into series. And so it's so hard to know like which one in a series I might give 5 stars. I could have put the Expanse series on here, but the first one was so solidly a 4-star book that I feel like that could be very easily a 4-star series, which is not a bad thing. In fact, highly enjoy that first book. It's just, it's not a 5-star read, if that makes sense. So those definitely could have been on here, but didn't feel like adding those, as, you know, I don't think they're necessarily going to be a 5-star. But I did want to have something that wasn't necessarily fully fantasy on this list. And when I looked through my bookshelf, the one that stood out to me was Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, which I still think has a fantastical element to it. But I do think this leans very much heavy into the literary realm and more of that type of scenario. I, once again, don't know much about this other than I have read Jonathan Strange and Miss Norrell by this author and really, really enjoyed that one. It was a high 4-star. It wasn't quite a 5-star read for me. It was so close, but it was definitely 4-star. But I think with how short this one is and the things I've been hearing about it being like a mystical house, possibly, if I remember correctly, and almost playing on like the labyrinth type of setting, I think this sounds really good. Again, Jess from Game of Tomes said this is one of her favorite books, and I really trust a lot of what she says when it comes to this kind of genre. So I do think I am gonna love it. Now for 4 books that I do not own but have been released, like a backlog, you know what I mean? Like they're not up and coming releases that I do think I will give 4 stars. First one is kind of a cheatsy because I technically own it. It's just not here yet. So I'm counting it in this category. It is The Will of the Many by James Arlington. I have ordered the new hardback that came out with a new cover because supposedly the next book is going to follow this new cover and not the old one. I honestly like both covers, so I'm fine with that. I'm hoping I gambled and picked the correct one to match upcoming books, but we shall see. This was been pitched as if you love Red Rising, then you're gonna love this, and I really do like Red Rising series, so I immediately was like, okay, I've got to read this. And the thing about it that I think is for sure gonna be 5 stars, where some of the Red Rising books are not 5 stars for me. In fact, the first trilogy is 3 to 4.5 kind of range. In fact, most of the Red Rising series is within that. But what really sold this for me is that people who do not like Red Rising have been loving this, and people who like Red Rising have been loving this. So I think that kind of combination of bringing the two that, you know, fall on different sides of that series, both saying that this is fantastic, I think gives me hope that this will for sure be a 5-star read. I am super looking forward to it and will in fact probably read it very, very, very soon. Next is a sci-fi, and that is The Ministry of Time by Kaliane Bradley. I have added this because it gives me the feeling of some of the sci-fi that I've loved. And the fact that it kind of gives me a little bit of like Loki, season 1 and season 2 vibes, like I kind of really love. So I just, the element of dealing with time and space and how that affects different timelines is one of my favorite things within sci-fi. If it's not space opera, then dealing with time is like chef's kiss. So the fact that this does that and it's been so highly received by so many people gives me hope that it's going to be my next sci-fi 5-star. I'm so ready for it. Which The Will of the Many is also sci-fi. I think it has fantastical elements, but I think it is classified as sci-fi, which is cool. Next is, I believe, another kind of sci-fi fantasy bridging series, if I am understanding it correctly when people are talking about it, and that is Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is one that has come out a few years ago. The whole trilogy out. I never knew about it until this year, and I don't know why it suddenly blew up this year to where I've noticed it, but it feels like this book is everywhere, and everyone that I kind of watch and really enjoy their book recommendations has had this very highly rated. So I, without a doubt, want to get to this. I do think that it is possibly a fantasy book that has sci-fi tech elements, which is great. Some of the books I really like that are Robert Jackson Bennett's Foundry Side series. Love that because it kind of bridges the same kind of elements, at least from what I understand. Like I said, I like to go into books pretty blind. Like, give me the genre and, you know, a little like tagline and that's it. I hardly ever read synopsises because I just feel like sometimes they spoil too much. And my fourth book that is already released that I need to read because I believe it will be a 5-star is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I have just started my Brandon Sanderson journey. In fact, I am about to read this book any day now. I'm about to start that. But I loved Mistborn, the first one, The Final Empire. I keep on getting confused on the title of that one because I know it's The Final Empire and the Mistborn series, but now I think it's starting to be marketed as just Mistborn as the first novel. So that's confusing. I would like to add all of Brandon Sanderson's stuff to my collection here. But my problem is these are the covers I like. I love these covers. This is from the library. And they're really hard to find now. And if I go on like Mercari or Pingo or any of those, like people are asking like $100 for this. And I don't know what to do about that. So I'm just kind of holding my time and waiting. I have thought about just getting the newer paperback releases because paperback is so easy to read on. But I love these covers. So that's the thing. And I feel like it's going to be the same way with the Way of Kings series. I'm going to want all of them. And it's going to be hard to find a set that I like that matches and will continue to match as books come out. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. But I do believe this will be for sure a 5-star read. Without a doubt. Yes, I hear you, Yumi. I'm back here. Such a loud cat. So now on to 3 books that are coming out in 2025 that I am super excited about and do believe will be 5-star reads for me. The first being Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. As you can see, I am a huge V.E. Schwab fan. I really like their work. The Invisible Life of Addie Rollou was 5 stars for me. Her other series range from 3 all the way up to 5, so it's been a mix. But with this being another standalone and within her new kind of phase of writing, I think it's going to be very similar to Addie Rollou, which means I really think I'm going to love it. It is pitched as being a sapphic vampire story, which sounds fantastic. I grew up in the Twilight era, so vampires still are very intriguing, although I don't read them very often because they can be very hit or miss. So I'm hoping that this is so good. I love the title and I cannot wait to see the cover. I most likely will be getting some sort of special edition of this just because it's you know, it's V.E. Schwab. I'm going to end up getting a special edition of it. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to this one and definitely hoping that is a 5-star read. Next is Red God by Pierce Brown. I do believe it is supposed to come out this coming year. I hope it does. I have been putting off reading Lightbringer because I kind of started a reread recently, and I have been waiting for the graphic audio to come out for each of these, which they are bringing out Iron Gold right now. So I will be reading that at some point. But once Iron Gold comes out, or not Iron Gold, once Red God comes out, I will go ahead and just continue finishing the series because I do want to get to this pretty close to when it comes out. So that way I avoid spoilers, because it being the final book in the series, I think it's going to build up to this big, awesome 5-star finish. That is my hope for the series anyways. There's definitely been some of the books that have been so great. I think Morning Star is fantastic. Iron Gold was a bit of a letdown. Dark Age was really good. It was getting up there. That was rude. My camera decided to stop filming. So I do not remember where I was on my train of thought. All I know is that I do believe that Red God will be a 5-star book. So, we're gonna move on into the last book and hope that that made sense. And I also think I changed how I was filming this. Hopefully that's better. This has just turned into a shit show. But anyways, the final book that is coming out next year that I have selected for this list, that I do believe will be a 5-star book, is The Martian Contingency, which is book 4 in Mary Robinette Kowal's later astronaut series. I love this series. I adore it. It's super cute, and I have given all the books so far a 4-star. But I believe that I may give this one a 5-star because of the setting and what they're building up to. And I'm not going to say too much more than that because of spoilers, because this is the 4th book in the series. But I genuinely believe this may be a 5-star book, and I'm super excited for it. So I will be getting that as soon as I can and reading it. And hopefully me and my friend will buddy read it together because they have read all the books too. And I hope they're excited about it also. So yeah, without further ado, that's my list of books that I do believe will be 5 stars. Hopefully I'm right, because that would be really nice. But we'll see. So let me know if you read any of these, if you have given them a 5 stars, and if you want to read them with me, let me know. So that is it. Happy reading. Stay cozy, stay crafty. Bye.